This episode really hits home for me. I was a working, hustling single mom for many years, for 14 years. And I can remember maybe about 12 years ago when I was 41, I was in my kitchen. I had just finished making dinner, cleaning it up. And I was thinking about what I wanted. And even though I knew that my life was so full at that time because I had this career and I was completely immersed in being a parent to my daughter, there's a part of me that knew that another chapter was coming. I sometimes would let myself dream about that chapter. I would let myself daydream and I would let myself go all out thinking, what would I want? Because as a parent on some level that someday your kid is going to go to college or go and get a job. So you have to be ready for the next chapter. For me, it was those times that I would allow myself to dream about this were really important because it gave me a touchstone to know where I'm heading and what I want to do and what I want to focus on now so that I can eventually have this new version of myself that's living a little bit differently than I am today. I remember one time specifically, I was thinking about what I wanted, and I remembered at this vision of myself in a fur coat in front of the Eiffel Tower, and I was drinking champagne, which is so random because at that point I'd never even been to France. So it was a dream that I had, and it kind of lived in the back of my mind. I didn't even think about it much, but to make a long story short, in 2017, so maybe 3 years later, that exact thing happened. And I have a photo of myself, and I'm wearing a fur coat, and I'm standing in front of the Eiffel Tower. The only difference between my experience and the vision I had is that I wasn't drinking champagne, but I was with my future husband. So it's wild how sometimes those things that we think about come through and manifest in their own time when we acknowledge them for what they are, which is a version of us that is real and it wants certain things. And it's when we give ourselves the credit that it deserves. So there's a lot of science in this work. There's a lot of research in this about the valid nature of wanting to experience this version of yourself that is just further along. It's not a better version. It's just the person who maybe has more ease in their life, or maybe she has a really wonderful relationship, or has a lot more time to explore creative passions, or she's taking up different classes that right now you may not have time for. It could be anything. You believe is a connection to you, and on some level is something that you want someday. And the reason why this is so interesting and how it ties into the coaching training that I had is about helping clients to visualize their ideal day and think about some really incredible goals they might have and giving some airtime to those things. And the reason why is because when we remove all judgment from ourselves and are just allowing our imagination to run wild with anything you can imagine, you can go for it in your dream of where you would want to be and how you would want your life to look when you wake up in the morning and what kind of coffee you're going to be drinking and what kind of day you have planned, what kind of weekend you have planned. When you allow yourself to do that, you have a shot at it because then there's a part of the brain that acknowledges, okay, this is something she wants. Whereas if you never allow yourself to do that, you really don't have a shot because it's not even part of your awareness. Allowing yourself to daydream, visualize, increases the potential for it to happen. Even that alone is worth doing this exercise. I want to get into what this means to become her. We think that manifestation is about visualizing something out there, but science tells us something fascinating. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagination and reality. This came out of a really groundbreaking research study out of Harvard, where subjects were playing the piano, and then some were not playing the piano, but thinking they were playing the piano, and the brain scans were the same. That's how powerful it is to really imagine things are happening. You can actually create brain waves and brain patterns as if they're happening in real life, which again increases your attractive field for this. If it's already happening on some level, then the law of attraction says, oh, this person is living this beautiful, fantastic life and having these great experiences. I'm going to give her more and more of those experiences. It's like on some level, it is happening, even if you're not actually in Paris sitting in front of the Eiffel Tower. You are creating those feelings and those brain waves that are as if you were there. And that is a key part of manifesting. And another thing is acknowledging that this version of yourself that I want you to, again, take a moment and think of, what is her life like? How does she feel most of the time? What is her emotional baseline? What kind of day does she have? What kind of weekends does she have? What are her activities? What does her bedroom look like? What does her closet look like? All of these things. This is not just a fantasy. What I'm suggesting here and what the research is suggesting, that it's actually a frequency that you have full access to, because that frequency of that version of you lives inside of you. She's not outside of you. It's very similar to what I talked about before about vision books. The reason why vision books are so powerful is because as you're creating it and you're looking at the words and the images that are evoking the emotions inside of you, they're calling those emotions forward and allowing the universe to match them more. It's like making them bigger, amplifying them. And that's what this is the more you become aware of that frequency within you, the more attention you give it, the stronger the attractive pull and the stronger the magnetic field to attract more of it into your life. You're just acknowledging what you already have inside of you. And it reminds me of the Abraham Hicks work too, but it says, you align with her not through wishing, but through being. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are and what you are in harmony with. So if I can connect with that frequency inside of me, with this person inside of me who lives with more ease, more gratitude, more grace, then I can become more aligned with that frequency, then I can experience it more readily, more easily, because I'm acknowledging it and I'm connecting to it. Next, I want to talk about meeting your future self. And that's a lot about visualization. And visualization is like a neurological rehearsal. So you're literally building new patterns, new neural patterns when you visualize. And this brings me to Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you're familiar with Joe, but he is phenomenal. All of his books, Becoming Supernatural, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, this is his field, quantum physics. And he encourages his clients to try to step out of the world they're in, the thoughts, feelings, emotions that they're currently in, and to expand into a higher, greater way of being, and to experience the emotions of this future self and the feelings and the thoughts. So he encourages you in meditation to move up into this other way of being. And he's got a ton of work that shows that this is possible And he has people having incredible changes in their lives when they're able to break the habit of being themselves and they're able to embrace this higher self that experiences higher emotions, basically. And so it's very interesting, and it's actually really fun to do his meditations. So when you are connecting with this part of yourself, you can ask questions like, where is she living? What does she wear that makes her feel most alive? How does she walk into a room? What does her social circle look like? How does she cherish the time she spends alone? All of these things are really allowing you to tap into your subconscious and see what are you looking for? Because every person will have a different thing. No two people are the same. We all have a different sense inside of us of what we want. So get to know what you want. Spend that time questioning it. What excites you? And when you are looking at pictures and quotes and movies, the things that really touch you and really make you feel, that's when you're getting close. So if you see that photograph of the lion in Africa on the safari, you feel really moved, that's maybe where you need to go eventually, is on a safari. If you see a picture of a couple sitting in this huge city on a terrace overlooking the view at night, then that's where you're headed. Everyone will have different emotional responses to these different things because we all have different parts of us. We all have a different frequency. Our frequency is all so unique. So taking the time to get to know your higher self, where you want to go, so that you can become her. That's a really big part of this. The next thing I want to talk about is integration, the daily embodiment. So in the book Atomic Habits, James Clear says, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. So the most powerful behavior change comes from identity change, because we don't act differently because we want to. We act differently because we see ourselves as someone new. I love this. So we'll do it with me. When I reach up into this higher version of myself, again, that lives with more ease, lives with more gratitude, more grace, and I start to identify with that person and know that that's me, and I embody that person, then my day-to-day choices will reflect that person, not where I am now. So that might mean little things like going to bed early or drinking more water or signing up for that class or booking that day trip to that museum. I start behaving from the other person. He's saying this is a powerful catalyst for behavior change, is really feeling the identity change of moving up into this higher person. And also thinking about when you're connecting with that person inside of you, how would she say no? How would she speak to herself? How would she set a boundary without guilt? Etc., etc. You are aligning with that person, and everything you do, say, think, feel will be affected by this higher frequency that you're accessing. Another interesting thing to note is the more you behave in alignment with the vision you have for yourself, the more your hope muscle builds. And the more that builds, the more resilient you are. There's a cascade of positive things that happen once you do this. It's becoming aligned, acknowledging you have this frequency inside of you, acknowledging this higher self. Then it's reaching for that version of yourself through Joe Dispenza's work and meditation and maybe journaling, and just being aware in your day-to-day what things evoke emotion inside of you and noticing those, and really start to invest time and energy into cultivating more, get to know more about this person inside of you. And then as you do that, then you create this identity shift where you actually can really practice embodying this person. Even if it's just a little bit at a time, you start embodying how that person lives, moves in the world, and how they handle this situation or that situation. And the more you embody that and you start to identify with that, then your choices become easier. Your habits and decisions come from a place of that identity shift versus being in this other identity and reaching for the habit because thinking, I want to do this habit. What he's saying is if you shift into that other identity, you don't have to reach for it. That's just the way that person lives. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to reach for it. Now I'm going to flip the lens and I want to close with a reframe. So where in your life are you waiting for external change before allowing inner transformation? Where are you waiting for something? Are you waiting for an amazing partner to come along? Are you waiting for this dream job to come along? Are you waiting to have a really welcoming, inviting home? Are you waiting to get into great physical shape? Wherever you're waiting for, the truth is you don't have to wait. The moment you connect with that frequency inside of you, the energy will shift. And you can actually live as if you have this thing or that thing, or start planning in your own way, taking turtle steps towards something you really want because you know you want it and you're clear about that. So you don't have to live in a state of waiting. You can live in a state of embracing the fullness of who you already are. That is what I have to say. Did this resonate with you? If so, I'd love to hear about it. Share your version of her with me on Instagram or by email. Let me know what she looks like, how she shows up, and what she's teaching you.